Hi, I'm Harlan. 6 months ago, I was counting down the days until I'd become a father. My wife Vanessa and I had been married for 3 years, and despite the constant tension with her overbearing family, particularly her parents, Richard and Meredith Wellington, we were excited about starting our own family. "Have you finished painting the nursery yet?" Vanessa asked one evening, her hand resting on her swollen belly. "Almost done. Just need to add those little stars you wanted on the ceiling," I replied, kissing her forehead. "Your mom called again about moving closer to them." Vanessa shifted uncomfortably. "They're just worried about us raising a baby so far from family." "3 hours isn't that far," I said, trying to keep my voice light. "And my parents are only 20 minutes away." "You know how my family is about the Wellington name," she sighed. "First grandchild and all that." I should have paid more attention to the warning signs. The way Richard cornered me at the baby shower, speaking in that deliberate tone he reserved for business negotiations. "Harlan, my boy, have you considered what it really takes to provide for a Wellington heir?" he'd asked, swirling his drink. "Teaching positions hardly pay enough for private schools, proper connections." "We'll manage just fine," I'd replied, forcing a smile. "I've been saving since before we were married." Meredith had jumped in, patting my arm condescendingly. "Darling, there's no shame in accepting help. The Wellington Trust could easily—" "We've discussed this," I interrupted. "We want to raise our child our way." The night Vanessa went into labor came 3 weeks early. I rushed her to the hospital, called both our families, and paced the delivery room as she progressed quickly. "Mr. Mitchell?" A nurse I hadn't seen before touched my arm. "There's an urgent call for you at the nurse's station." "Can it wait? My wife is—" "Sir, it's about your mother. They said it's an emergency." I kissed Vanessa's forehead. "I'll be right back, honey." "Hurry," she whispered, squeezing my hand. The call was a dead end, no one there. When I raced back to the delivery room 5 minutes later, I was stopped by a security guard. "I'm sorry, sir, you can't go in there." "That's my wife. She's having our baby." Dr. Myers, not our regular obstetrician, approached with a clipboard. "Mr. Mitchell, there's been a complication. Your wife requested family only." "I am family. I'm her husband." Her parents clarified that she meant blood relatives only. Hospital policy allows us to respect the mother's wishes. Something felt terribly wrong. I called my friend Alex, who worked as a nurse on another floor. "Alex, something's happening. They won't let me in to see Vanessa." "Hold on," Alex said, the concern evident in his voice. "Let me check something." He called back 10 minutes later, his voice hushed and urgent. "Harlan, you need to find Patricia Collins. She's the charge nurse who was supposed to be in your delivery room. She got switched out last minute." I found Patricia in the cafeteria, looking troubled. "Mrs. Collins? I'm Harlan Mitchell. My wife is—" "I know who you are," she interrupted, glancing around. "Something isn't right. I was removed from the Wellington delivery without cause." "Wellington? Her last name is Mitchell." Patricia's eyes widened. "Not according to the new paperwork. And there's something else. Your in-laws were in Dr. Levine's office for over an hour yesterday. When they left, he immediately changed the delivery team." My blood ran cold. "Are you saying—" "I'm saying," Patricia lowered her voice, "that I've worked here 15 years, and I've never seen a father barred from a delivery without medical cause, and I've never seen a birth certificate processed before the baby is even born." The next 8 hours were a blur of desperate phone calls and confrontations with hospital administration. By the time I was allowed to see Vanessa, she was groggy from medication, and there was no baby in sight. "Where's our child?" I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady. The nurse, not Patricia, avoided my eyes. "The baby has been taken to the Wellington estate for specialized care." "On whose authority?" I asked, my hands shaking. "Mrs. Mitchell signed the transfer papers. Her parents have arranged for private nursing staff." When I looked at Vanessa, her eyes wouldn't meet mine. "It's better this way, Harlan," she murmured. "They have everything set up." I left the hospital and drove straight to my friend Marcus's house. As a detective with the county sheriff's office, I hoped he could help make sense of this nightmare. "They can't just take your baby, Harlan," Marcus said, pacing his living room. "Even if your wife agreed, you have parental rights." "They had paperwork," I replied numbly. "Somehow they got Vanessa to sign." "While she was under medication after a traumatic delivery?" Marcus shook his head. "That wouldn't hold up. Did you see the papers?" "No, they wouldn't show me anything." "Then we start there," Marcus said firmly. "I know a judge who can get us an emergency order to view those documents." My phone rang. Vanessa's sister, Caroline. "What do you think you're doing?" she demanded without preamble. "Mom says you're trying to cause trouble." cause trouble. They took my child, Caroline. They're protecting the baby, she snapped. Everyone knows you weren't prepared. That tiny apartment, your teacher's salary. That doesn't give them the right to steal my child, I shouted. It's not stealing when the mother consents, Caroline said coldly. Vanessa knows what's best. She was drugged. They manipulated her. You just can't stand that she chose her real family over you, Caroline said. Dad was right about you all along. After I hung up, Marcus studied my face. You know this won't be easy, right? The Wellingtons have connections. I don't care, I said firmly. That's my child. We spent the next day gathering evidence. Patricia agreed to provide a statement about the irregular procedures. Alex accessed the hospital records showing the sudden staff changes. Marcus's judge friend came through with the order, revealing documents with signatures that barely resembled Vanessa's normal handwriting. Patricia introduced us to Dr. Winslow, who had been originally scheduled for the delivery. I've delivered babies for 20 years, he said gravely. I've never been replaced hours before a scheduled delivery without medical cause. And these consent forms, he pointed to the papers, they're dated before the birth. Standard protocol requires post-birth consent for any transfer. Will you testify to that? I asked. Dr. Winslow nodded firmly. What they did wasn't just unethical, it was illegal. My lawyer, Samantha Chen, reviewed everything we'd gathered. We have enough for an emergency custody order, she said. The judge will likely grant it based on the evidence of coercion alone. What about Vanessa? I asked quietly. Samantha's expression softened. From these medications listed on her chart, she was in no condition to make legal decisions. We'll make that clear to the judge. Armed with a court order and accompanied by Marcus in his official capacity, I arrived at the Wellington estate. Richard met us at the door, his face a mask of practiced concern. Harlan, this is completely unnecessary, he said smoothly. The baby is receiving excellent care. That's not your decision to make, I replied, handing him the papers. I'm here for my child. Richard barely glanced at the documents. These papers mean nothing. Vanessa designated us as the child's guardians. Under duress and heavy medication, I countered. The signatures don't even match. Meredith appeared in the doorway. You're being ridiculous, Harlan. We're simply providing what you cannot. You bribed hospital staff to keep me away from my wife during labor, I said, my voice shaking with barely controlled anger. You manipulated forms and removed my name from my child's birth certificate. Prove it, Richard challenged. Marcus stepped forward. Sir, we have sworn statements from hospital staff, including Dr. Winslow and charge nurse Collins, documenting irregularities in the delivery procedure and post-birth documentation. Those staff members are mistaken, Meredith said dismissively. The security footage isn't mistaken, I replied. Neither is the bank transfer to Dr. Levine from your foundation the day before delivery. Richard's confidence faltered slightly. That was a charitable donation. To his personal account? Marcus asked. That's not how charitable donations work. Vanessa appeared behind them, looking pale. What's happening? Your husband is trying to take the baby, Meredith said quickly. After everything we've done, I looked directly at Vanessa. They manipulated you. They bribed doctors, changed paperwork, and kept me away from our child's birth. Did you know that? Did you agree to any of this? Vanessa hesitated. They said it would be easier this way. Easier to cut me out of my child's life? I asked incredulously. We were protecting our grandchild, Richard interrupted. By committing fraud? Marcus asked. Falsifying medical records? Those are serious crimes. This is absurd, Richard sputtered. We have the resources to provide everything except honesty, I cut in, except respect for the law. Harlan, Meredith's tone changed to pleading. We can work this out. We only want what's best for the baby. You only want what's best for yourselves, I replied coldly. Where is my child? Our daughter signed those papers willingly, Richard insisted. Vanessa, I turned to my wife. Did you understand what you were signing? Did you intend to remove me from our baby's birth certificate? Her eyes filled with tears. No, they said it was just for the private care. I didn't know. Stop talking, Vanessa, Richard ordered sharply. Then he stepped toward me, lowering his voice. You walk away now, and we'll make it worth your while. $1 million. $2 million. The room went silent. Are you trying to buy my child? I asked in disbelief. I'm offering you a way out that benefits everyone, Richard said. You were never cut out for fatherhood anyway. You have exactly 30 seconds to bring me my child, I said quietly, or Officer Marcus here will arrest you for interference with custody, fraud, and conspiracy. Richard's face contorted with rage. You think you can threaten me in my own house? I'll destroy you. I have judges, police chiefs in my pocket. You'll never see that child again. Everyone froze. Marcus immediately took out his phone. Thank you for that confession, Mr. Wellington. I was recording this entire conversation under the authority of Judge Harmon's order. Richard lunged toward Marcus, grabbing for the phone. Marcus easily sidestepped, then quickly restrained Richard. Assaulting an officer, Marcus added calmly. That's another charge. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of legal proceedings. The evidence was overwhelming. Financial transactions, tampered medical records, and Richard's recorded threats. Dr. Levine lost his medical license. The hospital launched an internal investigation, firing 3 staff members involved in the scheme. I sat in the courthouse hallway, cradling my 6-week-old daughter, Emily. My mother sat beside me, gently stroking Emily's cheek. She has your eyes, Mom said softly. And hopefully none of the Wellington entitlement, I replied. Marcus approached with Samantha. The judge is ready for the final custody determination. Inside the courtroom, I faced the Wellingtons for the first time since that day at their estate. Richard and Meredith sat stone-faced beside their lawyer. Vanessa was seated separately with her own attorney. After reviewing all evidence, Judge Harmon spoke firmly. The court finds clear and convincing evidence of conspiracy to interfere with parental rights, fraud, and coercion. Mr. Mitchell is granted full legal and physical custody of Emily Grace Mitchell. Richard and Meredith showed no reaction. Vanessa quietly wiped tears. Outside the courtroom, Vanessa approached hesitantly. Harlan, can we talk? I adjusted Emily in my arms. About what? I made a terrible mistake, she whispered. I didn't understand what they were planning. They took advantage of me when I was vulnerable. You had plenty of opportunities to tell me the truth, I replied. Instead, you let them try to erase me from our daughter's life. I was confused, scared. They've always made decisions for me, she pleaded. Please, I want to make this right. She's my daughter too. The judge granted you supervised visitation, I said flatly. We'll follow that arrangement. Can't we try to work this out for Emily's sake? Vanessa reached for my hand. We could still be a family. Patricia approached us, smiling at Emily. She's beautiful, Harlan. Thank you for everything, I said sincerely. Without your honesty, I might have lost her forever. Turning back to Vanessa, I spoke quietly but firmly. There's no coming back from this. You chose your family over our daughter's well-being, over the truth. I've left them, Vanessa insisted. I've cut ties completely. Please, Harlan, I'm begging you to forgive me. Some things can't be forgiven, I replied. I'll honor the visitation schedule, but that's it. We're done. 6 months later, Emily and I had settled into a new normal. My parents helped whenever they could, and I'd adjusted my teaching schedule to accommodate single fatherhood. Emily was thriving, a happy, healthy baby who filled my life with purpose. Alex and Marcus stopped by regularly, becoming Emily's honorary uncles. Patricia often brought her grandmotherly wisdom and homemade baby food. How are the supervised visits going? Marcus asked one evening as we watched Emily play on her activity mat. Strained, I admitted. Vanessa tries to talk about reconciliation every time. And the Wellingtons? Haven't seen them since court. Their lawyer handles the trust fund they established for Emily. The judge wouldn't let them cancel it. Ironic, Alex noted. They tried to buy you off, and now they're financially supporting you anyway. I shrugged. It'll go to Emily's education someday. Seems fitting that their scheme ultimately benefits her on our terms, not theirs. Patricia smiled as Emily grabbed her finger. You know what I wonder? How many parents face similar situations but don't have friends in the right places to help them fight back? I looked at my daughter, then at the friends who had become family. That's why I'm sharing our story, because sometimes the people who should protect you are the ones you need protection from, and sometimes family is who stands beside you when the truth gets ugly. Have you ever had to choose between forgiveness and protecting someone you love?